Jessica Porter stood frozen as laughter erupted around her when the fire hose knocked her to the ground during training. The smirking instructor's words cutting deeper than her bruises. Some people just don't have what it takes. Who could have guessed that this unassuming woman, judged too weak and too small, would soon become the only hope for 7 souls trapped in a blazing inferno that had already claimed the lives of much stronger men? The Westridge Fire Academy loomed before Jessica like a fortress designed to keep out people like her. At 35, she was the oldest recruit and the only woman in her class of 20. Chief Richard Collins watched with narrowed eyes as she struggled to lift the standard equipment during their first physical assessment. "Porter, my grandmother could move faster, and she's been dead for 10 years, he bellowed, causing several recruits to snicker. Jessica tightened her grip on the heavy fire hose and continued the drill, her face betraying nothing of the determination burning inside her. During the afternoon break, Jessica sat alone at the edge of the training yard, carefully inspecting her reddened palms. A shadow fell across her hands. "First day's always the worst," a kind voice offered. Jessica looked up to find instructor Tom Parker studying her with curious blue eyes. Unlike Chief Collins, Parker's expression held no judgment, only professional assessment. "I'll toughen up," Jessica replied, straightening her shoulders. Parker nodded. "Most recruits come in thinking this job is all about brute strength. They're usually the first to wash out." He pointed to her methodical equipment check. "That attention to detail, that's what keeps firefighters alive." His encouragement vanished the next day when Chief Collins assigned teams for the ladder drill. "Porter, you're with Bennett and Rodriguez," he announced, pairing her with the 2 largest recruits. The assignment wasn't random. The ladder they needed to manage weighed nearly 100 pounds. Mike Bennett rolled his eyes. "Great, we got the secretary." Jessica felt all eyes on her as they approached the massive extension ladder. Without hesitation, she positioned herself at the base, using proper leverage techniques rather than raw strength. When Bennett tried to muscle the ladder alone and nearly dropped it, Jessica calmly redirected his efforts. "Like this," she demonstrated, her voice steady despite his glare. Chief Collins appeared beside them, clipboard in hand. "Problem here, Bennett?" "No, sir," Bennett replied quickly. "Porter seems to think she knows better than everyone else," Collins observed with a smirk. "Maybe she should write the training manual instead of trying to follow it." That evening, Jessica's small apartment in the working-class Millbrook neighborhood offered little comfort. The worn couch creaked as she lowered herself down, muscles screaming from the day's exertion. On her coffee table sat a stack of firefighting manuals, each filled with her careful notes. Jessica reached for the silver pendant hanging around her neck, her father's firefighter badge, worn smooth from years of handling. One day at a time, she whispered to herself, the words a ritual that had carried her through tougher challenges than this one. A text message lit up her phone. "First week's designed to break you. Don't let them." The sender was Sarah Winters, a veteran firefighter who had spoken at their orientation. Jessica hadn't expected anyone to remember her name, let alone reach out. As she prepared for bed, Jessica paused before her bathroom mirror, examining the faded burn scar that traced from her wrist halfway up her forearm. Most people assumed it was an accident. They were wrong. The next morning, Chief Collins gathered the recruits for a surprise evaluation. "Today we separate those who have what it takes from those who are wasting my time," he announced, his gaze lingering on Jessica. "Porter, you're first up." Jessica stepped forward as Collins revealed the challenge, carrying a 175-pound dummy through an obstacle course while wearing full gear weighing an additional 60 pounds. The course had been designed for someone with twice her body weight. "Clock starts now," Collins announced with a satisfied smile. "Let's see how fast the little lady gives up." Sweat streamed down Jessica's face as she gripped the rescue dummy, her muscles screaming in protest. Every recruit watched, expecting failure. Instead of trying to hoist the dummy over her shoulder like the men would, Jessica employed a modified drag technique she'd practiced alone for months before applying. "What do you think you're doing, Porter?" Chief Collins demanded. "That's not standard procedure." Jessica didn't waste breath responding. She continued moving with methodical precision, navigating each obstacle while maintaining her grip on the dummy. When she reached the final barrier, a narrow crawl space, the dummy became stuck. Collins crossed his arms with satisfaction. "Looks like physics wins, Porter." Jessica paused, assessed the situation, and then performed a series of repositioning maneuvers that allowed her to guide the dummy through the tight space. When she crossed the finish line, the yard fell silent. 7 minutes, 12 seconds, Tom Parker announced, checking his stopwatch. Collins scowled. Acceptable, barely. Bennett, you're up next. Show Porter how it's really done. As Mike Bennett completed the course in under 6 minutes, Jessica noticed Parker studying her technique rather than watching Bennett's display of brute strength. Later, as recruits cleaned equipment, Parker approached her. "Where did you learn that modified carry?" he asked quietly. "I developed it myself," Jessica admitted. "Standard techniques aren't designed for someone my size." Parker considered this. Smart. But Collins won't appreciate innovations that make him look outdated. His warning proved prophetic the following day when Collins assembled everyone for classroom training. "Since Porter thinks she knows better than department procedures," he announced, "let's see if her book knowledge matches her improvisation skills." Porter explained the complete protocol for ventilation in a 3-story structure fire. Without hesitation, Jessica detailed the procedure perfectly, even citing recent updates to the fire code that some instructors might have missed. Collins' face darkened. "Memorizing textbooks won't save lives, Porter," he snapped. "This isn't college." That afternoon, Jessica found her locker contents scattered across the changing room floor. A note had been taped to her helmet. "Quit before you get someone killed." She carefully gathered her belongings, aware of eyes watching from the doorway. "Need help?" Sarah Winters stood there, her veteran's uniform crisp against Jessica's rumpled training gear. "I've got it," Jessica replied, her calm voice betraying none of the humiliation she felt. Sarah closed the door behind her. "Collins has driven out every female recruit for the past 5 years. He'll only get worse." Jessica squared her shoulders. "I'm not going anywhere." Sarah studied her with newfound respect. "There's something about you, Porter. What made you want to be a firefighter at your age?" For a moment, Jessica's composure wavered. She touched her scarred forearm, unconsciously. Some debts can only be repaid one way. Before Sarah could press further, alarms blared throughout the facility. "Station 12, report for immediate deployment. All recruits assemble in the yard for observation duty." Outside, chaos erupted as firefighters rushed to their vehicles. Chief Collins barked instructions to the recruits. "Stay back, watch, and learn. This is a real 4-alarm commercial fire, not a drill." From her position, Jessica could see the plume of black smoke rising in the distance. The radio crackled with urgent communications about the Westridge office complex, a 15-story building with hundreds of people potentially trapped inside. As the last truck prepared to leave, Tom Parker spotted Jessica studying the building schematics displayed on the yard's briefing screen. "Impressive recall," he commented, noticing she'd memorized key structural details in seconds. "The ventilation system has a critical flaw," Jessica noted, pointing to a specific section. "If the fire reaches the central shaft on floor 8, the entire east wing becomes a death trap." Parker stared at her. "How could you possibly know that?" Jessica's eyes remained fixed on the screen. "Because I designed the system before I left my engineering job." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "And 3 months ago, I flagged that exact flaw to building management, but they dismissed my concerns as excessive caution." Parker's radio suddenly erupted with static-filled panic. "Mayday, mayday. Team 3 is cut off on floor 10, East Wing. Structural collapse imminent." Collins' voice responded. "All available units redirect to evacuation. We can't reach Team 3. Jessica's heart stopped when she heard the next transmission. 7 civilians confirmed trapped with Team 3. Situation critical. Parker looked at Jessica, understanding dawning in his eyes as she stepped forward with quiet determination. "Sir," she said with steady resolve, "I know a way to reach them that isn't on any blueprint." Parker gripped Jessica's arm. "What are you talking about, Porter?" "There's a maintenance shaft behind the east elevator bank," Jessica explained. "It was added during renovations last year, but never included in official plans because it was supposed to be temporary." Chief Collins marched toward them, face flushed with anger. "Parker, what's the holdup? Why is this recruit interfering?" Jessica spoke before Parker could answer. "Sir, I was the lead engineer for the Westridge complex before joining the academy. I know how to reach Team 3 safely." Collins' eyes narrowed. "You expect me to risk more lives on the word of a washout engineer turned rookie. No, sir, Jessica replied, unflinching. I expect you to utilize all available resources to save the people trapped inside. The radio crackled. Oxygen levels critical for Team 3. Estimate 15 minutes remaining. Collins looked from the smoke-filled horizon to Jessica's determined face. Parker, take Wilson and Martinez. Porter goes as consultant only. If anything goes wrong, it's on your head. Minutes later, Jessica sat in the racing fire truck, studying building schematics. The firefighters listened as she detailed hidden access points and structural weaknesses. The shaft will be hot but sound, she explained. It's reinforced with steel that can withstand temperatures up to 1,800 degrees for 30 minutes. Martinez, a burly veteran, eyed her skeptically. How do you know it hasn't been compromised already? Because I over-engineered it, Jessica answered. After the Melbourne Hotel collapse, I doubled all safety margins. They arrived at the blazing building. Emergency vehicles surrounded the complex, lights painting the thick smoke in flashes of red and blue. Chief Collins barked orders as water cannons battled the flames. At the command center, Jessica marked the access route on the blueprints. Collins watched with skepticism. You're saying the shaft isn't on any official plans? That's a code violation. It was scheduled for removal, Jessica explained. Management decided the additional safety feature wasn't worth the maintenance costs. Something flickered in Collins' eyes, recognition of the profit-over-safety mentality firefighters often encountered. Parker handed Jessica a spare suit. You're coming with us. Collins said consultant only. We need your eyes in there. Put this on. The weight of the gear felt different now. Not a training challenge, but a lifeline. Jessica secured her mask with practiced efficiency. Inside, smoke thickened the air. Jessica led them through a service corridor to what appeared to be a solid wall. She pressed against a specific panel, revealing a hidden door. The shaft runs directly to the mechanical room on 11, she explained through her mask. From there, we can reach Team 3 without crossing the compromised central section. As they ascended, temperature rose dramatically with each floor. Through her mask, Jessica heard Parker's labored breathing. Despite academy training, nothing compared to a real high-rise fire. At the 7th floor, Martinez stopped. Listen. Through the wall came a sound that made Jessica's blood freeze. Concrete cracking under extreme stress. The floor is going to give way, she warned. We need to move left where the support beam reinforces the shaft. Parker hesitated. That's not on the plans you showed us. Trust me, Jessica insisted, already moving. This section was my design. As if on cue, a thunderous crash echoed through the building as part of the 8th floor collapsed exactly where they would have been. Parker's eyes met Jessica's through their masks. Lead on. They emerged onto the 11th floor where smoke billowed around them. Through her radio, Jessica heard Team 3's desperate communications. Running out of air. Can't see an exit. The transmission ended in coughing. This way, Jessica directed toward a service corridor that bypassed the flaming main hallway. The group moved swiftly using hand signals as they navigated the labyrinth of back passages. Each turn brought new challenges, debris, structural damage, and intense heat pockets. Parker halted at one junction. Floor's too hot here. We can't cross. Jessica examined the buckling tiles. There's a support beam beneath us, at an angle. She pointed to a specific path. Step exactly where I step. Wilson shook his head. That's insane. We need another route. There isn't one, Jessica replied calmly. This is the only approach that won't take us through active fire. Parker nodded. Porter first. We follow precisely. With deliberate movements, Jessica crossed the compromised section. The others followed, their heavier frames causing pronounced creaking, but the path held. 3 minutes later, they reached a sealed door marked mechanical storage. Parker tried the handle locked. Stand back. Martinez prepared to break it down. Wait. Jessica stopped him. The hinges are on our side. She removed the pins, allowing them to pull the door open without damaging the fire seal. Inside, 3 firefighters from Team 3 huddled with 7 office workers, sharing dwindling oxygen. Their faces showed disbelief as Parker's team entered. How did you? Began the Team 3 leader Jenkins. No time. Parker cut him off. We need to move now. Jenkins gestured to an older woman against the wall. Mrs. Winters can't walk. Burns on both legs. Jessica's heart stuttered. Sarah Winters, the firefighter who had texted her encouragement, had mentioned her mother worked here. I'll carry her, Jessica volunteered. Jenkins laughed. No offense, but you don't look strong enough to carry yourself. Without a word, Jessica approached Mrs. Winters and employed her modified carrying technique, distributing weight across her core rather than shoulders. I've got her, she stated, already moving. The journey back became a nightmare. The building was dying, sections giving way with horrifying groans. Jessica led with Mrs. Winters secured against her, navigating from memory as visibility disappeared. Left here, she called when the group hesitated. The right passage connects to the atrium. It's completely compromised. How can you be so sure? Demanded Jenkins. Because I designed this building to channel fires away from evacuation routes, Jessica replied without breaking stride. At the maintenance shaft, they faced their greatest challenge, getting 10 additional people through the narrow passage. One at a time, Parker ordered. Porter, you go first with Mrs. Winters. Jessica descended carefully. Halfway down, a violent tremor shook the building. Debris struck her shoulder. Pain flared, but her grip never faltered. Are you all right? Parker called. Keep moving, Jessica replied. Shaft is holding, but I don't know for how long. By the 5th floor, Jessica's muscles screamed in protest. Mrs. Winters had fallen unconscious. The smoke was thicker here, suggesting new fuel. Jessica adjusted their route. Martinez questioned the deviation. Porter, where are you going? Command point is straight ahead. Not anymore, Jessica called back. Fire shifted. She led them to what appeared to be a dead end. Parker caught up, frustration evident. Porter, we don't have time for wrong turns. Jessica shifted Mrs. Winters to one arm and pressed a concealed panel, revealing an exit directly to the outside. Not a wrong turn, she said quietly. Just another feature management deemed unnecessary. Daylight blinded Jessica as she emerged from the hidden exit. Fresh air stung her smoke-filled lungs. Paramedics rushed forward, attempting to take Mrs. Winters from her arms. Careful, Jessica warned. Burns on both legs. Chief Collins stood frozen nearby, radio halfway to his mouth, staring at the exit that hadn't existed on any blueprint. Behind Jessica, the other rescued people emerged one by one, gasping in the clean air. Where's Jenkins? Collins demanded as the last person cleared the doorway. Right behind Martinez, Jessica answered, scanning the exit. But the doorway remained empty. The radio crackled with Martinez's panicked voice. Ceiling collapsed. Jenkins is pinned, 5th floor, north corridor. Without hesitation, Jessica handed Mrs. Winters to the paramedics and turned back toward the building. Collins grabbed her arm. Stand down, Porter. You're not authorized. Jessica met his eyes. I know that building better than anyone. Every second we waste arguing is another second Jenkins might not have. Parker stepped forward. I'm going with her. Collins' face reddened. This is a direct violation of protocol. Then write me up when I get back, Jessica replied, already heading for the exit. Porter, Collins called. When she turned, he tossed her an oxygen tank. Don't make me regret this. Inside, the building had deteriorated rapidly. The path they'd used minutes earlier was now obscured by fallen debris and thickening smoke. Jessica led Parker through an alternate route, navigating by memory and instinct. They found Martinez trying desperately to lift a concrete support beam off Jenkins' chest. The trapped firefighter's face was ashen, his breathing shallow. We need a lever, Martinez grunted, straining against the immovable weight. Jessica quickly assessed the situation. The beam's load-bearing. If we move it wrong, the rest of the ceiling comes down. She scanned the room, spotting a metal desk against the wall. Parker, help me with this. Together they positioned the desk next to Jenkins. Jessica directed them to slide a portion under the beam. Now push down on the other end. It's basic physics. The desk became the lever. The beam lifted just enough for Martinez to pull Jenkins free. As they moved him onto a makeshift stretcher, Jessica noticed his oxygen mask was damaged. Take mine, she offered, removing her mask. Porter, don't, Parker protested. I designed a ventilation system. Jessica interrupted. I know which areas will have cleaner air pockets. Stay behind me, move fast, and we'll be fine. Jessica led them toward another hidden emergency exit she'd installed on the opposite side of the building, holding her breath when necessary, taking careful sips of the toxic air when she couldn't resist any longer. Her lungs burned, vision narrowed, but her steps remained steady. They were halfway there when Jessica stumbled, her oxygen-deprived muscles failing. Parker caught her arm. "We're not leaving you behind," he insisted, sharing his mask briefly. The small breath of oxygen cleared her head enough to continue. As they approached the exit, an explosion from higher floors rocked the building. The path ahead disappeared under fresh debris. "No good," Martinez shouted. "We need another way." Jessica's mind raced through the building plans, searching for alternatives. "There's a window washing platform 2 doors down. The controls should still work on backup power." The platform was their only option. Jessica's fingers, normally so steady, fumbled with the control panel as the fire roared closer. Finally, the platform descended, carrying them safely to the ground where medical teams waited. As paramedics lifted Jenkins into an ambulance, he grasped Jessica's hand. "Porter, how did you know about those exits?" Jessica swayed, lightheaded from smoke inhalation. "I put them there. After my father." Her legs buckled as darkness closed in. The last thing she heard was Chief Collins' voice. "Get her oxygen now." Beeping monitors greeted Jessica as she opened her eyes. Hospital ceiling tiles came slowly into focus. Her throat felt scorched, each breath painful. "Welcome back," a familiar voice said. Sarah Winters sat beside the bed, eyes red from crying or smoke. Perhaps both. "Your mother?" Jessica rasped. "Stable." Sarah smiled. "Thanks to you." Jessica tried to sit up, wincing at the sharp pain in her shoulder. "The others?" "All made it, including Jenkins. Doctors say without your quick thinking, he wouldn't have survived." The door opened. Chief Collins entered, his imposing frame somehow diminished in the hospital setting. Gone was the dismissive sneer, replaced by an expression Jessica couldn't quite read. "Chief," she acknowledged, her voice stronger than she felt. Collins cleared his throat. "The department's investigation into the Westridge fire revealed several interesting facts." He placed a folder on her bed, including documents showing you submitted multiple safety warnings that were ignored by building management. Jessica didn't respond. Those warnings had cost her the engineering job when management labeled her difficult and unnecessarily cautious. Collins continued, "The hidden exits and maintenance shafts you designed saved 17 lives yesterday, including mine." Jessica's eyes widened. "Yours?" "I went in with the second team after you collapsed. East Wing's stairwell gave way. We used your service tunnel to escape." His voice softened. "Your father would have been proud." Jessica clutched her father's badge, still somehow around her neck despite everything. "You knew him." "James Porter was my training officer 20 years ago. Best firefighter I ever met." Collins paused. "Until yesterday." Sarah squeezed Jessica's hand as tears threatened. Collins straightened, the vulnerable moment passing. "Academy graduation is Friday. Despite your unconventional methods, you've more than qualified for certification." Jessica pressed her lips together. "With all due respect, sir, the only reason I needed unconventional methods was because standard procedures weren't designed for someone my size." Collins had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Which is why I'm appointing you to the department's training committee. We need someone to rethink those standards." After Collins left, Sarah broke into a grin. Did he just apologize without actually apologizing? For Collins, that was practically a tearful confession. Jessica replied with a small smile. 3 days later, Jessica stood among her fellow graduates, no longer an outsider. Mike Bennett, who once called her secretary, now watched with newfound respect as she received top honors. "Porter," Chief Collins called as she accepted her certificate. "The department has a tradition. Each graduate receives their badge from someone who inspired their journey." Jessica expected Parker, or perhaps Sarah. Instead, an elderly man in a wheelchair rolled forward. Her breath caught. Retired Fire Chief William Porter. Her grandfather. "Grandpa," she whispered. "How did you—" "Collins called me," he said, pinning the badge to her uniform with trembling hands. "Said it was time a Porter was back protecting this city." Later, at the reception, Jessica overheard Martinez talking to new recruits. Size doesn't make a firefighter. Neither does strength alone. It's what's in here. He tapped his head. And here. He touched his heart. And knowing where the exits are, Jessica added with a smile as she joined them. Collins approached with an envelope. Your first assignment, Porter. Station 12. Jessica opened it. The training division? Collins nodded. Your emergency exits are now standard in our evacuation protocols. We're calling them Porter Paths. Jessica looked around at the people she'd saved and those who'd saved her. Her father's badge gleamed on her chest, next to her own. 2 generations of porters, protecting their city. Different paths, same destination. When do I start? She asked. You already have, Collins replied.